So how do British athletes compete in winter sports where facilities are limited and competition is scarce? Well, for cross-country skier Andrew Musgrave, that means making a lot of sacrifices and travelling a long, long way from home.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning and I'm in Trondheim in Norway, just 300 kilometres from the Arctic Circle. Now, I know Norway pretty well. I ran here a lot, and they love their athletics, they love their football. But the sport that gets them up in the morning, and which they're really passionate about, is cross-country skiing. And the interesting thing is, at the minute, Great Britain has a man who's trying to take them on at their own game, and I'm here to meet him.
If you want to be the best internationally, then you've got to train with the best, and it's where you find the best in Norway.
I feel I'm half Norwegian now, or at least they treat me as if I'm a Norwegian.
I do skiing because I like it, not because I want to be a star, but it would always be a bit of a bonus.
So why Trondheim? How have you ended up here?
Well, I finished school in Scotland when I was 18, and I had decided then that I wanted to be a cross-country skier. So I ended up coming to Norway, spent a few years learning the language, and decided I wanted to start at uni, and I ended up coming to Trondheim because of the university here.
Cross-country skiing as a sport is not a normal one for British boys to decide to take part in. How did you get involved?
No, it's not the most common sport in Britain, no. But I ended up moving around quite a bit when I was younger because of my dad's job in the oil industry, and I lived for 5 years in Alaska from when I was 5 until I was 10, so I started skiing there. But I was never any good at all at skiing and did really bad in the few races that I did. Moved back to Huntly in Scotland, and just randomly enough there was a cross-country ski club in Huntly, one of the only 2 in Scotland I think, and ended up getting more involved in the sport through them.
That's still a really big leap to make, to go from, you know, a sport which you're having fun at and to make the commitment to up sticks, you know, move to a place where it's such a high profile sport.
Yeah, it is, but if you want to progress in the sport, you've got to take steps to become better, and I decided that the best way to get better was to come to the country with the best skiers in the world, to train with the best skiers in the world.
Talk me through a typical training day, if you like.
The morning will either be an intensity session with a sort of harder interval type training, or a long distance session where we're out for several hours, and then the afternoon will usually be a shorter session, strength, something like that.
And which are the aspects of your training which you enjoy the most?
I like intensity sessions where you feel like you're working hard and you get to the end and you're properly tired, but at the same time I like being out in the woods for 3 hours and just not really having to think about anything and just being out in nature.
My old coach Jimmy used to always go on to me about how every single training session mattered, and it's sometimes the most boring stuff that you don't see. This 3-hour run he's doing today, which is the most important, you have to do it. You can't decide, you know what, today I think I'll have a day off. Mind you, there are worse places to do a long 3-hour run. We're watching you train hard, but how are preparations going for Sochi?
As far as I can tell, they're going well. I think I've been injury-free and healthy all season, so everything's on track and as it should be.
And how would you compare yourself to 4 years ago when you went to the Olympics in Vancouver? How much of a better athlete are you now?
I'm older, wiser maybe, but I notice definitely that I'm stronger and I think I'm faster, and my endurance has improved as well, so I think I'm a lot better than I was 4 years ago, hopefully.
Andrew is committed to life in Norway, totally dedicated to his sport, and has been accepted by the cross-country skiing community.
When he came, we were a little excited if he could beat us or if he was any good. But he proved very fast to be a very good skier, and he's a great guy. So
Thanks.
Yeah.
Say that for the camera.
So when you did so well in the Norwegian Championships last year, how did you manage to explain to all of your Norwegian friends that actually back home it wasn't going to make too many ripples in the pond, as it were?
When I was on the podium, it was all a bit of an uproar. Oh, this British guy on the podium, and everyone thought I was going to be famous back home, but no, didn't turn out like that.
So Norway has this fantastic tradition in cross-country skiing, and expectations must be really, really high for them to do well in Sochi.
Many countries are starting and doing well, and so it's getting harder, but the Norwegian people want the same as always, to many goals from Olympics and bring home many medals.
And what about you? What are your expectations? How are you going to do?
I'm focusing on the sprint, so I feel I should definitely be in the semi-final in the sprint in Sochi. And once you make the semi-final, anything can happen. There's lots of pushing, shoving, falls, people getting tired. From there, anything can happen.
So you got high expectations?
You've always got to have high expectations, but just got to see what happens.
Andrew's dedication is already paying off. He's just won the sprint freestyle race at the Norwegian National Championships, a remarkable feat for a foreigner. He beat a field packed with skiers fighting for places on Norway's Olympic team for Sochi. We'll bring you all the news on how Andrew and our other athletes fare in the Winter Olympics. Coverage starts on the 7th of February, right across the BBC.